Good afternoon, children.
Good afternoon.
We started with the chapter Chemical Control and Coordination previous period, and we were discussing about different endocrine glands. We completed hypothalamus and started with pituitary. So let us continue with pituitary gland. So we'll quickly summarize what we learned about pituitary gland. And the first gland that we learned was about hypothalamus. The second one is pituitary gland. As we already discussed, it is the smallest endocrine gland. Pituitary gland is the smallest endocrine gland, and it is located in specialized bony cavity, and you call it a sella turcica. So pituitary gland is located in a bony cavity, and you call this bony cavity as sella turcica. It's the smallest endocrine gland. To be noted, it can be asked, give the functions of the smallest endocrine gland, or where is the smallest endocrine gland in our body placed, or what is sella turcica. So all these terms you should be familiar with. And it is attached to hypothalamus by means of a stalk. And I told you that hypothalamus and pituitary, they are very closely associated. Hormones released by the hypothalamus will regulate the release and inhibition of hormones from the pituitary gland. So it is attached to the hypothalamus by a stalk. And there are two parts for the pituitary gland: adenohypophysis and, just a minute, adenohypophysis, and the next one I told you to remember this alphabet A and A. So anterior pituitary is also known as adenohypophysis, and in anterior pituitary a particular in adenohypophysis a particular region is specifically known as anterior pituitary, but we can generally say the anterior pituitary is also known as adenohypophysis, and the posterior pituitary or neurohypophysis. Quickly summarizing, pituitary gland is the smallest. It's the smallest endocrine gland. It's located in a bony cavity. You call it a sella turcica, and it is attached to the hypothalamus by a short stalk, and there are two parts, and these two parts of the pituitary gland are adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. Moving on to the next slide. The first one, adenohypophysis. You can subdivide into two parts. So pituitary gland, as such, it has got two parts, adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. Adenohypophysis is further subdivided into pars distalis and pars intermedia. Once again, pars distalis and pars intermedia. You should be thorough with the spellings. Pars distalis. First part is same, then distalis and intermedia, showing its location. So once again, pituitary gland broadly divided into adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. Adenohypophysis is further categorized into pars distalis and pars intermedia. Now first we will learn about pars distalis. Pars distalis, it produces the following hormones. It produces several hormones, each with a specific function. So let's see which are the different hormones released by pars distalis or anterior pituitary. The first one is somatotropin or growth hormone. We abbreviate it as GH. Second one, prolactin or PRL. Third one, thyroid stimulating hormone. Hope you are noting down all the names. Fourth one, adrenocorticotropic hormone, ACTH. Fifth one, luteinizing hormone. Sixth one, follicle stimulating hormone. You are going to learn about each of these hormones, their functions you will be learning, but just quickly learn the names of the different hormones which are released by pars distalis or anterior pituitary. Once again, somatotropin. Somatotropin or growth hormone, you abbreviate it as GH. Prolactin, PRL, thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH, adrenocorticotropic hormone, ACTH, luteinizing hormone, LH, follicle stimulating hormone, FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, adrenocorticotropic hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, prolactin, and somatotropin. These are the different hormones: somatotropin or growth hormone, prolactin, thyroid stimulating hormone, adrenocorticotropic hormone, luteinizing hormone, and follicle stimulating hormone. You should be able to recollect these 6 hormones. Now we will start with the first hormone that we learned, that is growth hormone or somatotropin. As the name suggests, this particular hormone is essential to bring about the growth of your body. Excess amount and less amount or deficiency of this hormone as well as excess secretion of this hormone can cause diseased conditions like some disorders. So let's see what are the disorders caused by an imbalance in the secretion of growth hormone. Excess amount of growth hormone. As I told you, growth hormone helps in the body, helps in bringing about the growth of the body. When it is produced in excess, as you can see in the first figure, the person becomes a giant and you call it as gigantism, 8 feet or 9 feet. So they become so tall and look like a giant. The person will be looking like a giant. You call it as gigantism. The situation is, or the disorder is gigantism caused by the excess secretion of growth hormone. And on the other hand, less amount, hyposecretion means not enough, less amount of growth hormone release can cause a situation known as dwarfism or stunted growth. Here in the figure, you can see a dwarf as well as a giant. Okay. Both dwarf and giant you can find. One is caused by excess secretion and one is caused by the deficiency of growth hormone. So a balanced release of the growth hormone is essential to maintain proper growth or bring about proper growth of the body. And apart from that, sometimes the growth hormone can be released in excess amount in the middle ages. So in such a case, what will happen is it will result in the disfigurement of the body, especially the face, because bones and all in the facial bones and all will grow out of control. As you can see in the figure, that structure or the shape of the face itself gets changed because of this particular excess secretion of hormones at a late stage, means in the middle ages. And sometimes it can lead to serious complications and premature death of the person. And another problem or another drawback of this particular disease is that it's not that easy to diagnose it at an early stage. And by the time you detect it, it will be too late and it will be difficult to get cured. So acromegaly. So 3 diseases or 3 disorders we discussed under growth hormone. The first one is gigantism, second one dwarfism, third one acromegaly. Acromegaly means here it is also caused by excess secretion of growth hormone, but it is not doing the growing stage. It is not released during the growing stages, but at the time or when a person reaches his middle ages, this will be released, and that will result in excess growth of excess growth of the body, or bones and all will grow out of control and can result in the disfigurement, especially the face. This can lead to complications and even death of the person. And I told you it is difficult to diagnose it at an early stage. Have you understood? This I know already we had discussed, but since so many difficult terms are coming, I thought I'll just repeat it again. So tell me the different hormones released by pars distalis. Quickly summarize. Steffi, just one. I'll give chance. I'll ask you to take turns. Yes, Steffi?
Somatotropin.
Louder.
Somatotropin.
So what is the other name for somatotropin?
Growth hormone.
Growth hormone. Now read next one.
Prolactin.
Prolactin. Meenakshi?
Thyroid stimulating.
Thyroid stimulating hormone. Malavika?
Adrenocorticotropic hormone.
Adrenocorticotropic hormone. Sharon? Unmute and say.
Luteinizing hormone.
Luteinizing hormone. One more. Yes. Luteinizing hormone. One more is remaining. Anna?
Follicle stimulating hormone.
Without referring, you say?
Follicle stimulating hormone.
Very good. Follicle stimulating hormone. So these are the 6 hormones released. Now you need to tell me the disorders caused by imbalance in the secretion of growth hormone. First case, Punya can say. Any one disorder.
Gigantism when excess secretion.
Of?
Somatotropin.
Okay. Then Gayatri?
When the growth hormone is deficient, it causes dwarfism.
It is deficient, it can cause dwarfism. Then one more we discussed. Michael? Gigantism and dwarfism already mentioned. Michael, are you there? Yes.
Yes,
What is the third disorder that we discussed?
acromegaly.
What is that?
It's a facial, with the excess growth hormone, your facial skeletal must also change.
Disfigure. And what is special about it? How is it different from gigantism? In both cases, excess secretion of growth hormone is taking place. But how is it different from gigantism? Here, when does the secretion takes place? When are these hormones?
It takes place during mid-adult stage.
Yes, middle ages. The other one during the growing stages. So let us continue. Just a minute. Now, the hormones released from second hormone released from pars distalis. Already we discussed in detail about the first hormone, that is somatotropin, the disorders caused by an imbalance in the secretion of growth hormone also we discussed. The second one, second hormone, prolactin, PRL, lactin, lactose, so it is related to milk. So prolactin is the hormone which regulates the growth of mammary glands and the formation of milk. So that is a role performed by prolactin. So in order to memorize or remember the function, you can remember the word lactin, lactose related to the sugar present in milk. So you can remember, relate it like that. Prolactin or PRL, its function is to regulate the growth of mammary glands and the milk production from these glands. So that is the function of prolactin. Now moving on to the third hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone. So from the name of the hormone itself, you will get an idea regarding its function. Thyroid stimulating hormone. So you know, thyroid gland is yet another endocrine gland, and the thyroid gland will be stimulated to release thyroid hormones. That is a function of thyroid stimulating hormone. This particular hormone, that is TSH, will stimulate your thyroid gland so as to release the different hormones from thyroid gland. So what are the hormones released by the thyroid gland and all? You will be learning later in detail. So thyroid stimulating hormone is the hormone which will stimulate the thyroid gland to release different thyroid hormones. The fourth one, adrenocorticotrophic hormone, abbreviated as ACTH. It will stimulate the production, the synthesis and secretion of different steroid hormones. And that group of steroid hormones, you call it as glucocorticoids. And these glucocorticoids are released from the adrenal cortex in your kidney. Class 10, I think you have learned the structure of kidney, but not the inner structure that you will be learning this year in our next chapter. So the kidney can be distinguished. There are two major parts, and you can divide it into cortex and medullary region, adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla. So adrenocorticotrophic hormones, these are its function. ACTH's function is to stimulate the release or the production of glucocorticoids from adrenal cortex, or else it will stimulate the adrenal cortex to release a steroid hormones known as glucocorticoids. The function of that of these hormones you will be learning when we discuss about adrenal gland. Once again, all the three hormones discussed here. Prolactin will regulate the growth of mammary glands and formation of milk. I told you to relate the word lactin with milk. Then thyroid stimulating hormone. If you read or if you from the name of the hormone itself, you will get an idea regarding the function. This hormone will be stimulating the thyroid gland to produce the different thyroid hormones. And adrenocorticotrophic, there also you get an idea, adrenocortico. So this one is stimulating adrenal cortex. What for it is stimulated? To release a group of hormones, steroid hormones. You call these hormones as glucocorticoids. Glucocorticoids are released from adrenal cortex in response to or by the action of adrenocorticotrophic hormone. Adrenocorticotrophic hormone will stimulate adrenal cortex so that it will release glucocorticoids. Any doubt? Any doubt?
No.
Two more hormones we have to discuss. Luteinizing and follicle stimulating hormone. Let's see first luteinizing hormone. Luteinizing hormone will stimulate gonadal activity, the reproductive glands, the testes and ovaries. They will stimulate the gonadal activity. And in males and females, luteinizing hormone is present. In both males and females, you can find this hormone, and this will stimulate the activity of the gonads or the reproductive organs, testes and ovaries. And in males, it will stimulate the secretion of androgens. Androgens is the male hormones. Commonly we call it as androgen. Hormones produced in males, we call it as androgens, a group of hormones. And from the testes, so testes will be stimulated for releasing androgen. Okay, luteinizing hormone will stimulate testes to release and to synthesize and secrete androgens or male hormones. Whereas in females, This luteinizing hormone will bring about or will induce ovulation. Release of ovum from the ovary is known as ovulation. You know, ovaries are the organs in human females that produce egg or ovum. And this egg or ovum, when it is released from the ovary, you call the process as ovulation. So ovulation is under the influence of the hormone, luteinizing hormone, and maintains corpus luteum. Corpus luteum is actually in human females, in the ovaries, follicles, ovarian follicles will be there. It is these ovarian follicles or primary follicles will be there. Next year you will be learning about it. And these follicles gradually mature and form the egg. So the matured follicle, you call it as Graafian follicle. You don't have to learn all these. It's not necessary to learn this year, but next year you need to learn. So in order to make you understand what is meant by corpus luteum, I'm saying this, in the ovarian follicles are there. These ovarian follicles, they will mature and form Graafian follicle. And it is from the Graafian follicle that the egg will be released. Once the egg is released from the Graafian follicle, this Graafian follicle will get transformed into an yellow colored endocrine mass. Endocrine mass means that is capable of producing some hormones. That is known as corpus luteum. I'll repeat it once again. Once again from the beginning I will say luteinizing hormone. It's found in both males and females. So what I discussed about males or its role in males, I hope you have understood. It will stimulate the testes to synthesize and release different male hormones. So that is about its function in males. And in females, it carries out two major functions. One is it will promote ovulation, induce ovulation, and maintains corpus luteum. First function you might have understood. Ovulation means release of ova or ovum from the ovary. That process is known as ovulation. It is under the control of luteinizing hormone. Second function is maintaining corpus luteum. Then comes the question, what is meant by corpus luteum? When the ovarian follicles get matured and form Graafian follicle, they'll slowly undergo transformation and become a matured follicle or Graafian follicle. This Graafian follicle at the time of ovulation, it will or ovum will be released from the Graafian follicle. So what is left over, the remnants of the Graafian follicle will change into an yellow colored structure. You call it as corpus luteum. The remnants of or whatever remains in the Graafian follicle after ovulation will get transformed into an yellow colored structure, and that is corpus luteum. Now, what is its significance? It is also having endocrine function. Endocrine function means they produce hormones. They produce a hormone known as progesterone. Progesterone is a female hormone. So that is produced by corpus luteum, and this progesterone is very important for the maintenance of pregnancy. For maintaining pregnancy, progesterone is very important. And in case, every time or every month, one egg will be released from the ovaries of a human female. But fertilization may or may not take place. If fertilization doesn't take place, this corpus luteum will get degenerated. It gets destroyed. But in case the ovum released is getting fertilized, the corpus luteum will remain and continues its endocrine function, releases progesterone and helps in maintaining pregnancy. But if fertilization is not taking place, corpus luteum will be degenerated. So we learned that luteinizing hormone is very essential for the maintenance of corpus luteum. So in pregnant ladies, the corpus luteum has to be maintained, and that function is carried out by the luteinizing hormone. Am I clear to you, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Any explanation you need? It's cleared. What about others? I heard only Nandana's sound. If you want me to explain it again, I will. Shall I proceed to the last hormone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I could see some of your videos are turned off. Please don't make me repeat it very often. Okay. Follicle stimulating hormone. This also stimulates the activity of the gonads, the reproductive. Gonads means testes, ovaries, etc. You call it as gonads, the reproductive organs. In males and females, just like luteinizing hormone, both in males and females, you can find FSH or follicle stimulating hormone. Now, in males, follicle stimulating hormone along with androgens, and I told you what are androgens. Several male hormones are there. So together male hormones you call as androgens. Androgens and FSH together bring about spermatogenesis. Any idea what is spermatogenesis? Malavika, what is spermatogenesis? You just guess.
Production of sperm.
Yes, formation of genesis means formation. So spermatogenesis means formation of sperms. So formation of sperms will be taking place under the influence of or by the activity of FSH and androgens. Whereas in females, it will help in the growth and development of ovarian follicles. I told you what are ovarian follicles. So many ovarian follicles will be present in the ovary of a human female. So they undergo gradual development and change into a matured ova or matured ovum. Okay, that is carried out or that is done under the influence of this particular hormone. These are the 6 hormones produced by pars distalis. You want to see the other hormones also, or is that okay? Can I have an answer?
It's okay, ma'am.
Okay, so the last 2 once again, luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. Luteinizing hormone and FSH both will stimulate the activity of gonads. Luteinizing hormone in males will stimulate the production and secretion of androgens from testes. In females, it will promote or help in ovulation, induces, stimulates ovulation and helps in the maintenance of corpus luteum. Whereas follicle stimulating hormone in males, it will help in regulating the formation of sperms along with androgens, and in females, it will help in stimulating the growth and development of ovarian follicles. Now, I want you to summarize it quickly. One by one, you can say. First one, we already covered. Second one, from prolactin. From prolactin. Sania.
It helps in the production of milk producing glands.
Development of? Correct? Complete. And also production of?
Milk.
Okay. Now next one. All got a chance. Steffi?
Thyroid stimulating hormone.
What is its function?
It stimulates the secretion of thyroid hormones from the thyroid.
From?
Thyroid glands.
Okay. Then next one, Sharon?
Adrenocorticotropic hormone.
Quite a mouthful. Yes.
It stimulates the synthesis and secretion of steroid hormones
called glucocorticoids from the adrenal cortex.
Now close that book in front of you and tell me.
It stimulates the synthesis and the secretion of steroid hormones called glucocorticoids from the adrenal cortex.
This adrenal gland, as I told you, kidney is also having medulla and cortex, cortical region, medullary region and cortical region is there. And these adrenal glands, endocrine glands, are present on the top of the kidney. So on the kidney, if kidney is like this, on the top, these adrenal glands are present. So a pair of adrenal glands are there. So adrenal gland also has got adrenal cortex and medulla, just like our kidneys. Then next one. It's time? No. What is the time, children? When will our period get over? 45.
1:45.
Okay. Yes. Punya?
Luteinizing hormone stimulates gonadal activity in both males and females. In males, it stimulates the secretion of adrenogens from testes.
What hormones?
Adrenogens.
No. Androgens. Okay, then Naureen, next one.
Follicle stimulating hormone.
Hmm.
It stimulates gonadal activity, and in males, the follicle stimulating hormone and androgens regulate spermatogenesis, and in females, the follicle stimulating hormone stimulates the growth and development of the ovarian follicles.
Okay. So many difficult terms are there. If you don't read it on a regular basis, it will be very difficult for you children. Now next we are moving on to the next part. Pars intermedia. So pars distalis, it will produce almost 6 hormones. Now pars intermedia. In human beings, it is almost merged with, even though we separate it as pars intermedia and pars distalis, in human beings, it is almost in a merged condition with the pars distalis. It produces just one hormone, melanocyte stimulating hormone, or MSH. You might have heard about the pigment melanin. Can anybody tell me what is meant by melanin, or what is the role of melanin pigment? Where is it found?
Iris.
What gives you different skin color, complexion? What is it? What it is due to this particular pigment that we all have different complexion. Melanin is the pigment, and in presence of sunlight, melanin production will be enhanced. That is why the tanning of your skin takes place when you get exposed to sun. So it produces the melanocyte stimulating hormone, and this will act, as the name suggests, it stimulates the production of melanocytes, and this will help in regulating skin pigmentation. It is depending on the amount of melanin that people are having different complexion. The pigmentation of the skin depends upon the melanin present. So pars intermedia. Pars intermedia is merged with pars distalis in human beings. The hormone produced by pars intermedia is melanocyte stimulating hormone, and its function is to stimulate the melanocytes, and melanocytes contain the pigment melanin, and it will regulate skin pigmentation. Okay? Yes, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Next is neurohypophysis. That we will be continue. We'll continue this in our last period. Okay. Many students have
Ma'am.
entered the waiting room. Yes.
Can you show the last slide once more?
This one, pars intermedia.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Shall we wind up? Steffi?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So thank you, children. See you next period.